Hello, hello. How is everyone doing? Well, this is a really weird time to do this. I'm aware. We are just like a couple of days away from Christmas and everything, and most people are probably busy. I'm very well aware. But I had something that I really wanted to do while there was still an opportunity to. And admittedly, this is going to be kind of a strange stream, and I will probably be reiterating what this stream is about quite a few times throughout. But I had an idea. So the thing is, a little while ago we did a charity stream for a group called Level Up. So we've known about them for quite some time. In fact, we started our businesses around the same time as well. And they've been inviting us over to a charity event that they've been running virtually every year. And the past couple of years we had to skip it because we were ill. But they've been playing Vikings on Trampolines through part of that charity segment now for some time. But this year, we actually had the opportunity to go there and join ourselves. It's not always been easy to do, especially not at this time of year, but we could actually manage to do it this year. And more importantly, we brought a brand new version, or more specifically, a beta version of Vikings on Trampolines with us. And as a result of that, we actually showed a lot more of our new game than maybe people were anticipating. The thing is, it was a Norwegian, or at the very least Scandinavian specific live stream. It was also in the middle of what was it? I think it was in the ballpark of 30 hours that they streamed, and our segment was about an hour long. So even though quite a few people, at least locally here, caught that stream, everyone else that we might have linked it to or might have been interested in it had no freaking clue what was going on. I mean, they could see the gameplay, but what the hell were we saying? What were we showing off? What were the examples that we were given? So here's what I'm going to do today. And again, I will be reiterating this throughout the stream because it might be a little jarring to people coming in right in the middle, but I am just going to go through the entire live stream. And I'm going to be providing commentary throughout, what it is that we showed off, what it was that we were discussing, and there's two reasons why I'm doing this. First, you can't see my hands, I'm like listing numbers here. First, it's that, well, this is a charity stream, and it's always good to get more eyes on that sort of thing. It's a charity called Help the Children, and they do some really good work. So getting more eyes on that is always good. And the second is, if you wanted some context and you missed out on this stream last time, now you have the opportunity to get more of an inside look on what the hell actually happened. So I'm going to be running through the full hour that we were on, and then trying to be as concise as I can about everything. I don't know how this is going to work out, because I'm going to have to be translating and stopping and pointing out stuff as it goes. So we'll figure this out as we go along. Hopefully it will be informative. And if not, well, at the very least you get to see some new Vikings gameplay. So there's that. Okay. Hopefully, fingers crossed, like we're talking big fingers here, nothing goes wrong with my setup. I do have this set up on a second monitor. I've tested the sound levels, so everything should be good. And if it doesn't work out, well, you guys will just tell me. Okay, so going to be jumping over to that screen now. Let's see. Whoop. Let's see, did that Did that work? Okay, we're over there. Do we have display capture? Yeah, we do. Okay, everything's fine. Face reveal, I guess that's me in the middle. Okay, everybody ready to go? I'm gonna give this a try. Now, I did want to do this with a like direct video instead of having to use Twitch, but this was such a long live stream. I don't think they have a backup copy that you can find through YouTube yet, and that was also why I wanted to do this now. There's a chance that this might be taken down at some point, so more pressing matters, I guess. Okay, so we're just going to jump right into it. The first bit of this is just a little interview section before we get to the actual gameplay portion. So, for reference, you can actually see my mouse for once. We have Rune here, which is one of the heads of Level Up. He's the one doing the interviewing. We have me, whatever, and we have Joe, my co-partner at the company. So I do the art, and Joe does the programming. Okay, everyone's caught up. Let's see if this works out. So we're starting here.
Takk, det godt å være tilbake også.
Veldig hyggelig også.
Det dette hjørnet jeg trives best, Rune.
Ja, du kler det hjørnet veldig godt også. Men nå har vi fått velkjent besøk, vil jeg da si, i sofaen her. Dere i D-pad, også Juremi og Simon. Første gang våre seere møtte dere var jo allerede i 2011. Da reiste Endre Vellene og jeg rundt omkring i Norge og besøkte norske spillutviklere, og da var vi på Askøy og besøkte dere.
Okay, so they met us for the first time in 2011. So this is quite some time ago, and ironically, we started our whole career roughly at the same time because they were going around Norway trying to find someone to interview on indie games sort of popping up in Norway, at least in the current version of it that was emerging around the 2000s. And we were the first people they interviewed, and then kept interviewing other people, and then ended up setting up their business from there. And we had literally just like decided we were going to be making Owlboy at the time, so it's a bit of a weird combination of timings.
Besøkte oss hjemme og på kontoret.
Det var hjemme hos foreldrene dine, hvor dere hadde kontor og hybel og alt mulig rart.
So they met us over at Joe's parents' house, ironically.
Neste år, som Vikings on Trampolines. Vi har også vært tilbake for å besøke kontorene dere hadde en periode i Bergen sentrum, for å gjøre et lanseringsintervju av Vikings on Trampolines.
The second time they met us was at what they called a launch interview for Vikings on Trampolines. That was during a time when we had a temporary office in the middle of the city center. Of course, the launch didn't happen, but it was sort of, if things were working out the way that we thought it would at the time, then we might actually have something ready to launch. But as you'll soon see in the interview, that didn't happen because a little thing called COVID happened.
Vi kunne ikke slippe det på liksom et par måneder da, fordi dere, ikke sant? Ja. Det noen år siden. Ja,
det trengte litt polish, ja.
Jeg tror det var i 2018 rundt.
Yeah, around 2018.
Vi sitter her igjen, og vi skal spille mer Vikings on Trampolines. Men det som gøy da, at dette jo et spill som har utviklet seg ganske mye disse årene. Dere har jo ikke sittet i 14 år og laget det. Nei. Det jo innimellom. Men starte med det kanskje. Hva nytt siden sist vi så dette spillet?
Tja, so most importantly here is that they're asking, okay, you haven't been working on this game for 14 to 20 years straight. That's just when the project sort of emerged. But what is actually new since then? Because at the time, we were considering launching Vikings on Trampolines as a versus project, not just not having the adventure mode along with the rest of the game. That was something that came in later. Dere har jo sett litt grann fra fjoråret selvfølgelig, men det vi har annonsert da, det var at hele spillet har en adventure mode. Så det spillet kjent som det mer eller mindre versus brawler. tenk Smash Brothers. Men nå det jo litt på grunn av covid, da. Fordi vi visste ikke hva som kom til å skje når folk kunne sitte i samme rom og alt det her. Så vi tenkte, ok, det her spillet burde kunne spilles alene. So that's practically the same thing that I just said, was that COVID happened, because we were going to launch as a versus brawler. You could hear I mentioned Smash Brothers as sort of an example. COVID happened, and it turns out, yeah, you can't actually sit in the same room and play with other people. What can we do to solve that? Well, let's do the adventure mode, because the adventure mode at least allows you to play it alone, along with co-op with other people. What's the charity for? It is a charity for Save the Children. They provide aid for children in need across the world. Så vi tenkte, hva kunne vært aktivt å spille både alene og i co-op? La oss legge til boss fights. Så nå har vi lagt til en haug med boss fights. Og så tenkte vi... Boss fights. Ja, men så skal det jo være hele resten av spillet også. Så nå har vi brukt en god del tid til å legge inn levels innimellom da. Og det litt av det vi skal vise i dag. Okay. Primary thing, we're going to be showing off some of the actual regular levels in the game, as opposed to just the boss fights. Because every time we've been out, we've been focusing primarily on the boss fights in the adventure mode, because we feel like that's the main draw. But since those are pretty much done in the game right now, we are going to be showcasing a little bit about how you play the regular levels up to the point where you reach the bosses themselves.
Når kommer det? Jeg tør nesten ikke spørre. Skal dere si neste år nå? Skal dere si neste år?
Ta taglinen.
Ja, vi sier jo neste år hver eneste gang, da. Men det som kjekt med å si det kommer neste år, det at til slutt så kommer det neste år.
Til slutt, det helt riktig, det helt riktig.
Yeah, when is the game releasing? Let's just do the tagline, it's coming next year. Because that's kind of what you have to do, unless you have something actually set in stone for when it's going to release. We can't do anything other than just say, well, it's coming next year, because what else are you supposed to say?
Riktig. Jeg har også lyst til å bare touche innom Owlboy, som jo var den store indie-hitten deres, globalt også. Det var jo også en del av denne bundlen vi har solgt nå. Tusen takk også for at vi fikk inkludere dette fantastiske spillet i den bundlen, og den ble jo utsolgt første dagen.
Dag 1. Det var helt utrolig.
Ja, det sjukt. Ja. So, just a quick aside there, we included Owlboy in a bit of a bundle that they had for the charity, which we were more than happy to aid, and they were commenting on the fact that sold out, which that's very good.
Det kjempegøy, og vi veldig takknemlige, og nå det 100 norske gamere som får muligheten til å teste dette mesterverket av et norsk spill, så det veldig hyggelig.
Og mange andre norske mesterverk også.
Ja, det helt sant. Det var 12 flotte spill i den pakka. Det var veldig kult. Jeg foreslår at ikke vi bruker alt for lang tid på å prate nå, for vi har en time på oss. Det et rom full av folk her som har lyst til å spille Vikings on Trampolines.
So, they're trying to skip ahead, just so we can get to the gameplay. We should probably do the same thing. And for context, behind the camera on this is like a giant hallway filled with people that are all organizing and setting stuff up and making sure that this thing runs. And it's basically just like, raise your hand if you want to play some Vikings on Trampolines. So you're going to see a lot of people just kind of running in on stage and switching out.
Hva det vi skal se konkret?
Ja, nå skal vi jo vise fram først og fremst de første levelene man kommer til. I det endelige spillet da, så skal man ha en sånn overworld-type Super Mario-stil. Men det viser vi ikke i dag.
Nei.
Nå skal vi bare hoppe litt fra brett til brett, vise en ny boss, blant annet.
Det en veldig dev-versjon. So this is an important point, and you're going to be seeing this later. But the interesting thing here, holy fuck that face. All right. The important thing here is that what we will be showcasing here is the dev version. So you're not going to be seeing the final version of the adventure mode, where you essentially have like a sort of a Mario overworld map where you jump between different points. Because if we do that, then we have to redraw the entire map to fit with whatever it is that we're doing right now. So we have sort of stitched it together into the versus mode. So we're sort of navigating each stage through the versus mode. So this is not the final version. Another thing here is that we're going to be showcasing beta menus. And I'll get more into that, but let's continue so that we can actually get to some gameplay.
Den er
Som
det
vanlig.
kommer en krasj, det garanterer jeg.
Ja, vi vurderte å vise hele delen av hvordan du gjør progression, og hvordan du ser de forskjellige tingene etter hvert som du spiller. Men vi tenkte det ville vært bedre hvis det funker.
Ja.
Så det vi har gjort nå, det er at vi har laget en mashup ut av versus-moden og adventure-moden, så vi kommer til å vise et par ut av de levelene etter hvert sånn som de skjer.
I'm literally saying
Og
the
når vi
exact
har
same
gjort
thing
det,
I just
så
said.
kan vi eventuelt ta noen runder på bossfightene, og så foreslå at vi går over på noen versus.
Jeg ser også dere har deres community-navn her. Det tror jeg er Dark Mask The Fox, som
Aha.
sier Hi Snake, Hi Joe.
Yes, stemmer nok.
Aktivert community deres.
Yeah, some people from the dev Discord showed up.
Jeg vil også bare si at vi prøvde å få dere hit i fjor. Da var det vel først du ble syk, og så ble du syk.
Ja.
Så da ble ikke jo det nå, men dere sendte jo spillet over, og fikk
Ja.
spilt det likevel. Hvor mange trenger dere til starten på dette her?
Vi kan gjerne være 4.
Fire stykken?
Ja.
Ja.
Er det 4 stykken i rommet her som har lyst til å være med
All
og
right, we're
spille
getting 4
Vikings
people to
Trampolines?
join in on the game.
Meg og Simon kan først og fremst demonstrere et par ting.
Ja.
Så går vi gjennom litt sånn story-moduser, og så kan vi kjøre en rotering på alle som vil spille.
Ja, men det høres bra ut. Ta med dere en stol også.
If you're wondering what the hell these shoes are, by the way, supposedly those were part of donations. At least that was what we were told.
Men da blir vi 5. Hvor mange vil du ha på scenen, Rune?
Jeg vil ha 4 pluss de to.
Du vil ha 4 pluss jeg kan få.
6 på scenen.
Det kan du ikke si.
Ikke klipp det, folkens. 6 på scenen? Det er
I'm not going to be translating that joke.
Jeg også kommer til å trenge litt pause, så gjerne få opp en til.
It's a really cozy stage, by the way. So, surprisingly similar to how we set it up at the main office for a little bit,
Ja.
but much more professional.
Første er at vi har tatt med plushies.
Oh yeah, this is an important thing, because they just they allow you to add some donated things to the pile for the stream, and we managed to sneak
Nice.
out a few things from our
Det som
personal
ble
stash.
laget
So
ganske tidlig i prosessen. Så
here we have the two
en som er
Otis
innpakket,
plushies,
og en som
one
er
that's
standard.
packaged and one that's out.
Kan legge de der.
And I'll just skip ahead. There's
Og så, kanskje
the copies of the
den
game.
første her. Denne ble produsert helt på begynnelsen i livssyklusen til Alboy. Og vi
And then
klarte
the most
å
important
snike
part,
den ut fra lageret,
we managed to smuggle out
fra
a
USA.
few
Så det finnes
Bogwins.
bare et par av igjen. Vi har en Bogwin plushie.
That's one that we actually still have sealed. So we have a couple of these, but they are exceedingly rare at this point.
Som jeg fikk av dere, som er kjempekoselig. Denne er så fin!
Den er fremdeles forseglet, så den der er dessverre veldig sjelden i disse dager.
Må vi se. Jeg bare flytter litt på ting her. Sånn.
So we can just
Det
skip
blir
ahead.
Ja, det blir veldig
Det
varmt.
blir varmt.
Ja, vi kan ta og demonstrere her.
Yes.
Skal vi se.
Det er først
Nei, hva var planen?
prisene. Hvordan får man tak i disse?
Å ja.
Utlodning, sant?
Okay, they just had to do the charity
Det er
thing.
selvfølgelig også i på Splace.no.
Altså,
Oi, oi,
nå
oi, oi, oi.
fortsetter
Yep. The thing about this whole thing, and I should mention it, is that it's very specific how you phrase how you do donations and charities, because there are some ways that if you phrase it the wrong way, then it's illegal. So we're just like sitting off to the side, like we're not going to explain what it is that we're doing or how what these things are used for, because we don't know the terminology and we don't want to get in trouble. So you'll see me basically being like, oh no, please, you take care of that. I don't want I don't want to derail your entire stream just because I said the wrong thing.
Det heter det fordi det er en bovine penguin.
Nettopp.
Vil du ha det
Det gjør jeg
faktiske svaret? Fordi jeg tegna de der. De skulle egentlig være en velociraptor. Og så muterte de til det der, og så jeg på den, og så tenkte jeg den der må se noe sånn som
So they ask why it's called a bogwin, and I say it's called a bogwin because I looked at it and it looked like it says "bah." You know, very yeah, smart stuff.
Dere har skjønt en ting som vi snakker mye om i Level Up.
Er det lyd
Oh
på
yeah,
nå?
there was a microphone malfunction, so nobody could hear this guy for quite a while.
Så får du lyd på Carl også, så det er bare å gi.
Vil du høre, Carl?
This is the co-host of Level Up. Sarune and Carl are the two original, and then
Det dere har skjønt,
the team built from there.
det er at rund er bra. Dere har
det hele tiden. Det
Øvelser. Men spriten deres, de må være helt lik. For at alle skal være like. Sant?
er bare en ball.
Balansert. Nei.
Skal vi prøve å få dette her i gang, Rune?
La oss prøve å få det i gang.
Skal vi se, du må
Dobbeltklikke på Vikings og
ja,
Trampolines.
hvis du kan
Jeg er litt usikker.
For absolutt alle.
kanskje det.
There we
Ja, det
go.
er
Now we
ekstra
actually get some
enkelt.
footage. Okay, so one thing that I'll mention right off the bat here is that they plugged in DualShock PlayStation controllers, and there is an error that happens when you do that, where the DualShock controller hijacks the sound signal. So for the first couple of levels, you will not be hearing any sound effects or music until we notice that, and then we fix it. So this is not an error with the broadcast or anything. It's literally we had to go in there and mess with the insides for a little bit afterwards.
Okay, so
Here you can also see the brand new menu. And this has not been cleaned up or made pretty in any sort of way. This was after we had been doing a bunch of testing and we were trying to figure out how do you allow for a better menu selection. And keep in mind, all of this has to be controlled with the one hand, so up, down, left, right is the only input that we really want the player to use, because we want you to be able to play this one-handed.
før vi begynner her nå,
Ja.
det jeg kan si nå, det er at vi har prøvd å designe dette spillet sånn at det skal være tilgjengelig for absolutt alle.
And this is our new character select, which means that you can now select whichever character you actually want, and it gives a lot more options. Previously, in all the other versions that we've been showcasing of Vikings and Trampolines, you have not been able to really choose which character it is. It's player 1 is red, player 2 is yellow, etc., etc. So this has been really nice to have some sort of system for. We just finished a new pass on this this menu just a couple of days ago, so this has already been upgraded from here. But you kind of get the general gist from what you're seeing here.
Så hele spillet kan spilles kun med enten piltaster eller analogstykke. Så vi designer menyer for det samme. Dette er en temp-meny, sånn at vi kan demonstrere hvordan dette funker. Men nå har du faktisk character select. Så hvis du vil spille som noen andre enn det som spiller designet til deg, så kan du gjøre det nå.
So the one thing that we don't allow you to do right now is the fact that you can't all play as the same character. And there's a very particular reason for that. It's that it would be impossible to see anything. If everyone played, I don't know, the blue Viking, you won't have any distinguishing shapes to differentiate. And even if you did color tint, it would be a mess. We have discovered that from the early days when every Viking looked the same in, like, when we started showcasing the game, like, oh, how many years ago? Is it like 11 years ago? 10 years ago? It was awful, and that's why I really advocated for the different Vikings to look as distinct as they do. So that's why we're doing that.
Det dere også kan gjøre nå på neste skjermen, hvis dere trykker en av bumperne, så kan dere skrive inn navn.
Og vi har det!
So here's another little thing. Now, we don't have a solution for allowing you to add your custom name to your character using only the directional keys yet. This might just have to be something that we allow buttons for. It's simply too complicated to be able to make a menu for that actually makes sense. But yes, you're able to type in a custom name. This is all temp, of course. However, what they're excited about is that last year we accidentally left out the letter V, and you had one of the players just wanted to name their character Viking, and they couldn't. So they were playing the entire thing just being named Viking with a W.
Hotfixet det. Phew.
Var det legit en sånn ting dere glemte å legge inn?
Ja.
For de som ikke så på streamen I fjor, så skulle vi spille dette med blant annet Andreas Viking, som tenkte han skriver Viking. Og da I Vikings som Trampolines så mangler det V.
Jeg satt og hotfixet det mens jeg satt og så på streamen.
Ja.
Yeah, we were literally sitting right down the hall and just doing hotfixes on that right before we got on stage. In fact, as we were sitting there doing hotfixes, I sort of insisted, like, okay, let's just do a run through of the entire game just in case, because I'm paranoid as hell. And we did, and it turns out that little change broke the entire versus mode, and we had to rebuild the entire game again right before we jumped on stage, and we handed them the final version. Like, if that had actually broken the thing, pretty much half of everything that we're showing in this presentation would have been just cut.
Da vi klar.
Det litt urettferdig. Du har spilt det før, du, Reme.
Ja.
This is another change. You can now see your character on the side, so you can see how many are joining your party. Again, this is the versus menu, and we've just sort of crammed in everything from the adventure mode in here as sort of like extra level modules.
Ja.
Ok, så det første vi kommer til å demonstrere her nå first stage I adventure mode. Vanligvis så vil du spilt dette på det verdenskart I bakgrunnen, men vi bare viser det på den måten som vi gjør det nå.
Ja.
Ja, vi har allerede gitt dere på en måte 3-4 uker med ekstraarbeid for å komme hit.
So this will be the first level in adventure mode. This is literally the sort of starting tutorial level, which kind of gives you an introduction on how to play. So not particularly challenging, but you kind of get the idea. This screen also is technically temporary. It's here to introduce each screen and gives it sort of a level name, but it's a little bit unfinished. But it sort of gives the idea of what we're going for.
Så,
Jeg har jobbet opp mot level up I en måned nå.
ja, utsatt til 2027.
It's a little unfortunate that there's no sound on this because it's. I think the music is really charming
Hun
here.
jobber jo veldig mye med å fremme accessibility I spill, og da at du kan spille dette her kun med ei stikker.
I'm a big fan of this idea I had. Every single animal that's on the Viking portion of the lands have horns. So every bird just inexplicably has like little horns on them. So this is after you fall down from the starting area. You end up here.
Da blir hun veldig glad, tror jeg.
Ta oss og fortell den historien, Simon, som du fortalte meg I sted.
Ja.
Kanskje ta litt kortversjonen hvis dere skal forklare masse ting.
Ja.
Kortversjonen
So basically here, you just get the idea of how you're supposed to be moving. The main thing here is that instead of how it works in versus mode, you can use each other as trampolines. So being able to jump on each other and figuring out that this is actually cooperation to reach these balloons is kind of the point.
Jeg må vente et øyeblikk her, for nå får vi en introduksjon her.
Ok.
Dere har allerede forstått hvor dere skal hoppe på
Så her
hverandre.
kommer det noe.
Yes.
Det kommer noe.
Så her kommer antagonistene.
Nei, så her kommer den inn, ja.
Se her, ja.
First enemy.
Det
Dette her var
helt
noe
vilt hvor mye nytt som kommer inn hver gang vi ser det
Ja.
spillet her. Altså.
Ok, nå begynner det her, altså.
Det jo litt sånn intern vim at dette spillet har vi spilt I mange år.
Ja.
So these enemies, the main thing they do is that they sort of occupy your space for the trampolines, and you kind of have to help each other knock them off. because they'll bounce you back and forth.
Kommer det til å være like stort som Elder Scrolls?
La oss bare si ja. Hvorfor ikke?
Hvorfor ikke?
Like viktig kan vi vel egentlig
And
si.
we have the red balloons, which sort of just very casually chases you down.
Ja, det er jo det.
But if there's too many, it becomes a problem.
Ikke akkurat nå.
Nei.
And then we have the
Kan jeg
big
faktisk
purple
legge
ones,
til en
which,
historie som jeg skulle fortelle, for det
yeah,
passer veldig bra.
they
Vi
they
demonstrerte det her
knock
på Tokyo
you
Game Show,
every which
og
way
vi
if you're not
snakker ikke
careful.
japansk, og vi hadde ikke tolk tilgjengelig akkurat da dette skjedde. Så vi hadde en familie som kom forbi. Sønnen
I'm going to be bringing up the thing that I'm talking about here in a second, but I wanted to highlight the fact that we have added hit stuns now for whenever you get hit by an enemy. And it's a very small thing. It doesn't seem like it's all that much, but we noticed that a lot of people didn't recognize the fact that they were getting hit and launched in places. So it's a lot more obvious now. It's a small detail. You could see it on yellow there.
Og så viste seg det at sønnen var døv. Så han kom inn der, fordi vi trengte ikke forklare noe. Vi kunne bare vise du spiller med kontrollstikker, og så plutselig så skjønte de det uten at vi trengte å ha språkbarrieren.
Ja.
Så viste seg faren er også døv.
Oi.
Og etter
All right. I'm just going to reiterate what I said there because I think it's a really nice story, but I'm not going to spend too much time on it. It was a lovely little thing because they were asking what is an aspect of this that helps with accessibility, because that is something that we've actually been working towards. The fact you can control the entire game with one hand is kind of a core aspect of this entire game because it makes it accessible to everyone. And I was reiterating that when we were showing this game off at Tokyo Game Show, we had a family where a boy came by, Japanese, and he insisted with his father that he wanted to play this. Turns out he was deaf. And this was great because even if he could not hear us, it didn't matter because we could just show him that you could use the control stick and then he could figure out how to play. Then his dad comes over. Turns out the dad's also deaf. And they finally have a game that they can play together, which is absolutely fantastic. And as it turns out, it was actually an advantage because they could communicate with each other through one-handed ASL, or the Japanese equivalent, which means they could strategize against us in the game while they were playing. So, just I love that little moment. But they were asking me specifically to reiterate that during this segment.
som de spilte med hverandre, så kunne de kommunisere med enhånds ASL mellom hverandre.
Nei.
Og det viste seg at det var en fordel, fordi vi kunne ikke snakke japansk ASL.
Oi.
So here's another thing that we haven't shown off all that much. It's the point system. So part of the idea with Vikings and Trampolines is that you'll be dying a lot in this game. It's utter chaos, and it becomes more chaos the more players that you have. But part of the challenge is either trying to get as many points as possible to get a better rank on your stage, or actively sabotaging the other players so you are the one with the most points. You can kind of see Frida here, like, really went ham during this section, though you can also see that Joe, who has played this the most out of all of us, was very close to catching up.
Så de kunne lage strategier mot oss.
So you get to wear a little crown if you're the one with the highest point.
Det er fantastisk.
Ja, det er kjempegøy.
Det er sånne type ting som når vi designet spillet, så tenkte vi ikke over det i det hele tatt. Vi designet det sånn at du skal drikke en pils.
Ja, det var det jeg skulle til å si.
Yes.
Halvliter ene
Ja.
og kontrollbaren andre.
Joe, on the other hand, suggests that when he designed the game originally, because this was something that he made when he was like 14 or something, we picked it back up for development a lot later. And he was like, oh, this is great. We could play it one-handed because then I can drink a beer while I play it. So he was saying that it's kind of funny that that was his starting motivation. And then moving forward, it turns out that, hey, this is actually a really good accessibility thing.
Men det dere så der på slutten der, det er score screen. Så hver level har du muligheten til å gå for en high score. Og planen vår da, det er at kanskje brettene ikke er det vanskeligste til å begynne med, men hvis du skal få høyeste score, så må du sabotere de andre.
Og så lenge man spiller story
I'm just reiterating what I just told you guys.
Så kan man samarbeide og komme seg litt høyere opp. Men også, du fortsetter en kombo da. Så hvis du skal gå for high-scoren, så prøv å hoppe opp på de andre, og så ta fiender derfra.
Så score-komboen forsvinner det sekundet du tar på i trampoline. Så husk på det. Nå skal vi ta...
Så det er egentlig Vikings avoid trampolines?
Ja, egentlig.
Yeah, we were just talking about how you actually build your combo meter. I don't know if this is going to continue the way that it is now, but the short version of it is that as long as you don't touch a trampoline, you continue building your combo through every enemy that you defeat. So avoiding using the trampolines is important. Now we're getting to an interesting stage because this is, I believe, the 4th stage in the game. And this has been sort of unfinished now for almost 2 years. We've been sitting on this for quite some time because we've been busy with a lot of other stuff. And we finished this maybe just like a month ago. So this is really fresh. It's right out the gate. And I'm honestly shocked at how well it came together in such a short time. I really like the background color choices. Yeah, so the reason why it ended up the way that it is now, I'll just get us down here so you can actually see it, is that we were using temporary assets that we already had from other areas. And we just had the temp pink color that you have in the background. And that's the screenshot that I was working with when I was trying to revamp it. And I realized that this is a really nice sundown color. So I made it sort of to feel more like it's like just starting to become sundown, and they're moving their ship out towards the sea, and I think it worked out really nicely. I'm also very happy with how the water effects, you can kind of see I added a lot of detail for that, how we created that parallaxing effect.
Nå drar dere innover mot isverden. Så dere får velge en som skal gjøre æren av å...
So this is also where we introduce the axe power-up in the adventure mode. And I forget which one does the honors of releasing the boat. I think it might be Carl.
Sette båten fri.
Yep.
Jeg synes det er fantastisk at vikingene tar med seg trampolinene når de skal ut på båten sin også.
De må jo det.
Overalt.
Men jeg liker at de er ikke forankret i båten, så de driver jo bare skjener litt frem og tilbake.
It's also a shame because the music track for this is really... I love this track, but unfortunately the sound is cut off here.
Akkurat når du hopper på en trampoline, da begynner du å spinne litt.
Ja, så der ja. Ok.
Og da slår du ekstra hardt da når du bomper bort i fiender.
This guy is brand new. It is a balloon seal, and we call it a squeal. We introduced like a whole life cycle for this thing, but I love the squeal because I wanted to make the squishiest thing I could possibly do. And just notice the sheer mush on his head when you jump on him.
Der har vi en squeal.
Er det nytt?
And he also shoots little puffer fish. Keep that in mind for later.
Nei, vi har hatt det før også, men vi har utbrodert det litt.
Ja, nettopp.
Nobody hit him.
Har vi lyd på spillet forresten? Fra...
Oi.
Det kommer ikke lyd fra PC-en.
Yeah, they just noticed that there's no sound. So they can't fix that until we've finished this stage. This is also a new thing that we haven't shown before. During the adventure mode, there'll be little chests that'll come by and you'll be able to regain some health. Now, you lose health really fast in this game, so it's only more like a band-aid, but it also gives you point bonuses, so there is an advantage to getting them. Except, you know, if you miss, you die more.
Men kanskje jeg skal sjekke ut det når vi er ferdig med runden.
Vi har hatt lyd på PC-en.
Vi har hatt lyd på PC-en før.
Ja da.
Vi hadde litt problemer med i går.
Vet du, jeg vet nøyaktig hva som har skjedd, jeg.
Ja, ok.
De har koblet til noen PlayStation-kontroller.
Det er
And
en
of course,
PlayStation
Joe
kontroller som er
snatches
helt
it
annet. Det er
immediately.
hele
Yes.
PC akkurat nå.
Oh yeah, remember that pufferfish? Well, this is the bigger version. That's called a chapfish, and it's called a chapfish because that thing really needs some chapstick.
Det er en sånn ting med Windows som fortsatt ikke er fiksa. Hver gang du kobler til en PlayStation-kontroll...
Their whole
så
thing
er
is
det
that
lyd
they
på den.
block
Det tar en runde
trampolines,
ferdig,
so you have to
så
sort
blir
of
det, vet du.
coordinate where you're
Her
going to
er
stand.
en chapfish. Vi
Ja.
kalte den for en chapfish fordi han trenger en chapstick.
Da gir han. Nei, han er litt spiky.
Yeah, you really get to see the hit frames on this one.
Det er jo, jeg har sett litt på YouTube-kanalen til Sakurai. Og han snakker mye om det der, litt sånn der enkle designet med få knapper og samtidig litt sånn intrikate mechanics som du kan bli god i og sånn.
Yeah, apparently
Er du inspirert av det i det hele tatt?
Rune here has been watching the uploads from Sakurai for a while
Det er bare veldig tilfredsstillende å få til et
and
konsept
was
med
asking if
veldig
we
lite inputs.
got inspiration from his design methodology. And there are some parallels there, but if I'm being honest, I haven't watched all of his videos because we've been too busy, but I got the gist of it. And yeah, a few button inputs is actually a really good design philosophy, at least in principle.
Og jeg tror vi har mye
So here's the second version of the chapfish when they get inflated, and I think this is probably one of my favorite sprites in the entire game.
den samme beklager, jeg blir så distrahert av det ansiktet der.
Oi, det var så kjekt.
Den var mye større enn jeg trodde da dere viste meg det bildet i stad.
Oh yeah, apparently we showed
Men,
some
litt på det som
behind-the-scenes
Carl
sketches
sier,
to
altså, når
the
jeg,
staff before we
designet
got
det her,
on.
Så hadde jeg lillesøsteren min in mind. For jeg husker at vi spilte Smash Bros for første gangen,
Ja.
og hverken jeg eller hun forstod kontrollerne. Altså alt var 100% kaos.
Øks og yes.
Så jeg hadde jo gledet meg kjempelenge til å spille Smash Bros med hun.
The important thing here, this looks easy, it is not easy. It's a lot more challenging than you think.
Så derfor så tenkte jeg skal lage et spill som vi kan spille sammen, og hvor
This is also brand new. This ending segment didn't used to be here. We needed a way to sort of make the entire thing fit with the theme of trampolines and something to end the stage that wasn't just like stage over, good job. So we've added a pole here, sort of like Super Mario World, but sort of our version. The higher you attach yourself to the pole, the more points you get. And depending on what type of play you do, you have that little trampoline at the bottom there that can launch you up at the right time if you struggle with the timing.
vi kan være på lik linje helt fra starten av. Og det ble liksom designmantren bak Vikings da.
Ja, det var alle andre også.
Gee, I wonder who's gonna win this round.
Den var fin.
Den er safe.
2,000, Joe,
Ja,
really?
du fikk alle poengene, du. Skal vi se nå da, hvis vi klarer å få noe lyd her som er på rett...
Dette er sånn å være på besøk hos han ene som har spillet.
Jeg tror
Yeah, now
faktisk
we're doing
vi skal få
troubleshooting.
til å overta.
Lydinnstilling. Lyd.
150 på Danmark.
Så,
Så jeg
da
vet
var det
ikke,
bare en PlayStation-kontroller, så
There we
hadde
go.
veldig lyst til å være høyttaler.
jeg vet ikke om Rune har lyst til å få en liten brush-up, men jeg bare hopper dere rett inn i
Kjør.
første minigame.
Ja.
Så dette her er da kanon-minigamet. Dere skal få selv lov til å se om dere forstår hva det er som foregår.
Oi,
Ok.
Den
hvor
er helt
smart.
fersk.
Oi, første world premiere.
Den har ikke vi vist før.
Yeah, world premiere.
Wow.
Jeg kan nevne også at etter en runde her så kan jeg gjerne få, hvis noen andre har lyst til å teste i rommet.
Here we go.
Hvor smart er
So this one I'm really excited to show off.
Man,
This
fucking nice.
is
minigamet?
pretty much brand new. I hinted at it on Blue Sky a short while ago. Basic gist of this stage, because we had some assets that we wanted to repurpose for something, and it's you're battling a different train on the other side. You take turns taking pot shots at each other with cannons, and you have to coordinate where the cannon is going to be so you don't get hit, but you also want to be in the correct position when you're firing the salvos back.
Ok, det er noen folk bak der.
Da er det.
Få se. Jeg-
And of course,
Oh, yeah.
it's impossible to die here by just falling. the premise is don't get hit. Like they just did.
Og vi må bare unngå han. Venstre. Karl, hvorfor går du på
Å
høyre
ja,
side?
det er sånn, ja.
Ja!
Nå skjønte jeg det. Jeg har ikke sovet så mye i natt.
Hey!
I'm really happy I got the time to add all these little characters.
Nei, jeg da.
Ok, bare hold oss til venstre.
Vi holder oss
Hold oss
der,
til
ikke
venstre.
sant?
Sounds insane, but I just wanted a lot of little guys that you could shoot.
Det var ingen som hjalp meg med venstre.
Nei, det var ikke det.
Hvis
I
du
get a little wild
når
guns
du
in on
trykker
that.
kommer på trampolinen,
Ja.
da går han litt hardere mot...
Ok, vi var smart nok til å skjønne hva vi skulle
Å
gjøre da.
ja da.
Ja da, etter hvert.
Venstre!
Oi, oi, oi.
Venstre! Karl, venstre!
Jeg vil fokusere på å overleve.
One thing I want to point out is that it's a... Oh yeah, we hadn't changed out the beta thing that Joe added for the cannonballs, so I paused that the exact wrong time for that. It is surprisingly difficult to add these balloon people everywhere because you want something to look sort of humanoid, but also be a balloon, but also have the theme for whatever area you're in. So sometimes you end up with something that looks kind of like a person. Sometimes you end up with something that looks like whatever this is. And it has to be right in between all of that because it can't be too much of either one because you don't want it to be a human because then it gets weird. You don't want it to just be a balloon because that seems a little lame. And you want some variation between it. So, and also there's not that much time to sit and design background characters. You just kind of have to roll with it and hope that it works out.
At jeg ikke tenker på det.
Høyre!
Høyre.
Nei!
Oi, 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 oi. Så optimalt sett så skal ikke den her miste noen.
Nei!
Optimalt.
And I am happy with the detail that you can kind of clearly see that they go into defensive mode whenever they're getting ready to be shot
Her
at.
kommer han. Å nei! Ned! Ja, nei! Ah!
Jeg trodde jeg var flink.
Er det noen som har lyst til å teste i salen?
Kom igjen! Førstemann!
Vi kan få det her gjort, da.
Dette må vi få til.
Okay, so I'm jumping in here. I am playing for Juremi.
Venstre.
I'm trying to like instruct everyone to cooperate so that this thing doesn't just get destroyed.
Få inn
Venstre.
en kommandør, en som bare...
Though I'll be perfectly honest, I'm not the best at this level because we barely had the time
Har jeg nok autoritet?
test it.
Eller jeg hører du kritiserer meg for
Han
det.
har lagd spillet, Frida.
Venstre!
Oi.
Venstre.
Med Frida som
Ja!
I forget if we win this one.
Ja, da har
I think we at least do
Det henger bra til.
decently.
Dette går kjempebra.
Hold han der, hold han der.
Ja, hold han der.
Oi, oi.
Sånn, ja.
En til, en til.
Oi.
Ja!
Yes, yes, yes. Et skudd
I
til
think we
nå.
win
Dette
this.
får vi til. Bare øve
Just
deg en
one
runde.
more hit.
Kom igjen.
Å nei!
Yeah.
Der mot venstre nå.
Ja, jeg vet det, men jeg var litt søk. Vi holder oss her med.
Hold oss der.
Nå klarer dere det. Å nei, å nei.
Venstre.
Venstre!
Nei.
Åh!
Dette går.
Ok,
Kom igjen.
vi må sikte oss inn på han nå.
Sikt til venstre.
Midten.
Høyre.
Midten.
Høyre.
Ok.
Almost.
Nei, den går.
Ai, ai, ai,
Kjører fra meg.
ai.
Åh.
Kjører fra meg. Har vi evig liv?
Ja, på dette gresset her.
Høyre.
Ok.
I honestly don't remember. I don't... Wait, did we not win this? I think we lose. Yes, we do.
Jeg har ikke nok autoritet.
La oss se.
Da skal vi ta og vise dem en ny boss fight.
Skal vi vise den nå? Yes.
Jeg tar en melding her fra Raintime først. Man får jo bare lyst til å kjøpe det spillet her med en gang. Ser det for første gang personlig. Dette her kan tanke ut Smash og Mario Kart som partyspill. Det er stort.
Somebody claiming that this game will beat both Mario Kart and Smash as the top party game of all time. I appreciate the enthusiasm.
Det skal jo... Det er jo designet sånn at de aller fleste skal kunne plukke det opp med en gang. Så hvis du har en lillesøster...
God bevegelse i armene.
Ja.
Så kan det fremdeles.
Og så er det
Det er
gode
sant.
muligheter.
Og alle brukte trampolinene til krigføring. Spilt tidligere. Jeg vet dere har spilt Toot the Whale.
Ja.
Han er boss nummer 4,
Ja.
tror jeg.
Okay, so we're about to show off what I believe is the fourth boss.
Akkurat nå kaller vi den for Bat-bossen.
Hvis dere har forslag, chat.
Så for øyeblikket så kaller vi bare for The Queen. Hun er litt gal, så let's just jump into it.
Er dette bossen som hadde så fin placeholder?
Yes.
So this is another one that we've shown a little bit off on Blue Sky and the rest of the internet, and we don't really have a name for her yet. We sort of tentatively call her the Queen. She's absolutely insane. She thinks she's the queen of whatever tower she's in, and she has a army of little tiny bats that she calls her knights. But yeah, she's a little insane. This is the most recent boss that we finished, and it's been something that we've been talking about for quite some time.
Ja.
I'm really happy with the rotation effect that we got on this.
Ja, ikke sant.
No 3D here, by the way. This is all like pixel art.
Hold on.
Jeg spurte sikkert om det i fjor da. Er det tårnet her inspirert av Castle, av Michelania?
Yes!
Ja, det er det.
Det er nøyaktig derfra.
Ja, så kult.
And really nice that we got
Ja.
sound on this
Oi,
one.
nei,
We just finished the music and the sound
Du
for it.
har rustning på seg, så pass på.
ja, riktig.
Jeg bare...
So part of the thing here is that she is armored, so if you touch her, you're gonna get just thrown off the stage. Again, looks really easy, but considering you're constantly bouncing, it's really easy to just get knocked everywhere. So everything in Vikings and Trampolines has to do with the timing of where you move.
De små kan vi ta.
So here she's sending out her knights. We call them the buckethead bats. And here you can see the henchman that's taking control of the maniac.
Jeg slo.
Do it.
Jeg slo igjen.
Yes, okay, okay.
Bank!
Gir.
Og se den animasjonen, da.
Ok, nå blir det gøy.
Ok, er det fase 2?
Jeg har gjort det så mange ganger.
Å nei!
Oi, det-
Å, nå tippet
Den
tårnet!
lener seg. Å nei, å nei. Dette er en innovasjon.
So for those of you that have played the original versus mode that this is based on, you know how hard this gets the second this tower starts moving. Because now it's not just dodging, now you also have to hit the trampolines as they're rotating around.
Oi da!
Så har jeg kastet meg selv ut
Her
forbi
handler
igjen.
det om å liksom vite hvor man skal se, føler jeg.
Ja.
Skal man følge med på bossen,
And you can see I'm
tårnet, eller...
getting knocked out here too.
Svaret er ja.
I only have 2 lives left.
Nei! Ja da! Stille. Nei, det er liksom, du blir liksom dratt litt til høyre. Da driver og setter meg ut.
And I think that was the last life of everyone. It's just me left at this point.
Jeg kan ikke vinne hele denne greia alene.
Kom igjen, Remi, you can do it.
You got this.
Jeg antar jeg slår bossen 3 ganger.
Yes.
Ja, det er bra. Det er bra.
Pang.
Nice.
Glemmer dere hvor vanskelig det spillet her er når dere lager det selv? Sånn...
And then stage 3 is
Simon er jo
always kind of a nightmare.
Vi hadde en
Now I will admit,
konkurranse noen
I
år tilbake.
kind
Det var-
of
du fikk
took the fall here on purpose because
meg en gang.
it's not always as fun to just see you defeat the boss.
Dette her
So
blir jo deres versjon av Let Me Solo Her.
I'm gonna take a failure here on purpose just so we can move the thing along. I'm not exactly sure how far the program was at this point, but I think we reached about the halfway point. So it seemed like a good time to move over to the next part.
Da introduserer vi opp Habiba. Jeg vet ikke, har du vært på scenen her denne? Nei?
Let's see. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit. So this is Habiba. She's one of the organizers for Save the Children. So that was one of the people that were in the audience.
Ok, vi tar... Så
Så du
styr
kan
kun med
holde
det.
mikrofonen samtidig.
Blir det sånn, eller? Ja.
Going to the...
So here we are going to be showcasing the second to last boss. And it is a bit cruel because we just got another person in here, and this is probably the hardest boss that we have in this build. So yeah, they're going to have to learn quick. So you can kind of see that they die off pretty quickly here, unfortunately. But we needed to sort of stick to the program.
To the maces.
Men
But it is a good exercise to see how quickly you can pick up the game. And
Sikkert den vanskeligste.
the fact that they're able to play at all that fast is good.
Ja, det er så den som skrider på. Ja.
Å, pass på!
oi, 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 oi.
Ja. Fikk slått tilbake dynamitten.
Spretter på andre.
So the entire thing with the armadillo is you need to dodge his shots and then knock back his dynamite.
Å ja, du skal
Åh.
det knocker det tilbake, ja.
Oi, oi, oi. Det her var jo bra.
And again, a lot of what is the challenge with these games is just timing your jumps when you're going to land, when you're going to be going up and down.
Bank posten! Kom igjen, Tanja!
Ja!
Veldig bra.
Kom igjen!
Det er mange.
En til.
Ah!
And yeah, they missed the damage cycle on that one, so they have to do it again.
Hvor content complete er det spillet her nå, sånn cirka?
Kom igjen, Tanja!
Hva skal vi si
Kom igjen,
da?
Tanja!
Bossfighten er ferdig, og versus-moden er ferdig.
Ja.
Nå er det bare ekstra levels igjen, pluss en del story polish.
Riktig.
So what I just said there is that the boss fights are done, at least for the most part. There's some polish that needs to be done, and the versus mode is done, apart from extra polish and extra content for that. And the only things that are left now is adding more adventure mode stuff, and also there's some contextual things that we have to add. So a lot of the game is feature complete. It's just the more we have the opportunity to add at this point, the better the game will be, and hopefully we'll have time to add as much as we can.
Så det er ikke langt unna nå.
Nei.
Fase 2.
OK, nå begynner det å bli gøy her.
Oh yeah, this is the part where he starts
Fjern bomben.
dropping bombs
De
on you.
ødelegger sikkert trampolinene.
Yes.
Ja.
Nei, der falt jeg min egen død på første.
Nei, han er
Det går
ikke
fint, og han er gjort mange ganger
Du
allerede.
klarte det overraskende bra.
Ja.
Er det bare... Nei,
Jeg kjenner at min trening for å ha eid de liksom spilt med Space Invaders kanskje kan...
Ja.
Men du er
Honestly, you're doing pretty good.
Habiba?
Klarte å overleve.
A lot of the people that try this for the first time tend to die off on the second round. Oh, speaking of which, everyone's died off and it's the second round.
Og,
Får vi se hvordan det
It's me again,
skal-
unfortunately.
OK, jeg har 2 liv, og jeg skal klare det her. OK.
I've just been playing with Joe's name this entire time.
Ai, ai, ai. Siste.
Ok, må slå den tilbake, ellers går ikke det her. Get over here. 1, 2, 3.
And you can kind of see me looking at the camera just to see how much time we have and deciding whether or not I should jump off the stage.
Mellom.
And then I accidentally messed up anyway and just ended the segment.
Kunstneren, tusen takk.
Simon er en av verdensmestere i pixelart.
Ja.
Sånn straight up.
Sånn faktisk.
Det
Da
er vel så å si objektivt sant.
Ja.
OK, folkens, skal vi gjøre litt versus mode?
Da blir
Yes.
det versus.
OK. Vil dere spille for dere sjøl? Vi kan backe ut.
Yes, vi backer ut litt, grann, så får dere øvd litt.
Ja, hvis du tar det.
Fra Folk. 100 000. Og godeste Maiken her, hun har prøvd å starte et 19 kroner klare.
So here we're just adding people back in.
Snarvei.
Again, these are temp menus, so
Ja.
Er du klar?
a lot of
Det er
it.
du som trykker start.
There were some small bugs here where it was difficult to get the text to reset and get new names in, but considering we sort of hacked this together right before we jumped on stage, I actually think this worked out pretty well.
Hvilke brett dere kan spille.
Ja.
Dere kan jo begynne på første brett, da.
Ja, la oss.
Nerds og...
Å, ja.
Yes.
Ja.
Bare først.
Og den, ja.
Men det at, som dere sier, at det spillet her kan spilles med en pils, det er
Ja.
jo opplagt inventar for liksom Tilt og House of Nerds og...
Å, ja.
Okay, so everyone that's seen Vikings and Trampolines knows this one. This is the first stage, the classic versus stage, the thing that started it all. So you kind of know what you're in for.
Ja, vi har en
The one thing that we've changed, and I should point that out, is that for a lot of these stages, we used to have custom entrances. So in the original version, you would spawn inside these towers, and then you would jump out. But after testing for a while, it turns out that it's a lot better if all levels have you spawn consistently and the same. So now we've changed it to where you come down in balloons from the top. Because you kind of saw it here. I can jump back and show you, but
Men det at, som dere
this
sier,
isn't fully complete because it's not integrated with the rest of the screens. But
at det
you
spillet
can
her
see
spilles
now
med
you're
en
coming
pils.
in
Det er jo
on balloons, so you can see where you are. You can move around a little bit because we got some complaints that whenever you started the stage, you didn't know where you were right before you spawned. So all of that's been fixed now.
Opplagt inventar for liksom Tilt og House of Nerds og
Ja,
sånn,
vi har faktisk kjøpt et arkadeskap av Tilt.
Kult.
Som vi holder på å refurbishe da.
Ja, nice.
Det er jo en stund siden vi startet med det prosjektet.
If I remember correctly,
Men
nobody should sleep on Tanya. Tanya just destroys everyone in this if given the chance to.
Om det blir Tilt, det håper vi jo virkelig på.
Da hadde det vært veldig gøy da, å få deg inn på Tilt.
Ja.
På Tilt, og så etter hvert så blir det liksom alle top Japanese arcades og...
Ja, det var kjempegøy.
Halla!
Little small thing that they mentioned there at the side too, because they were again talking about the fact that you can play with one hand and have a drink in the other. We have actually purchased an arcade cabinet for Vikings and Trampolines. So, due to everything that's been happening, we haven't had the time to set that up and find a vendor for it, but there are plans for an arcade version of Vikings. It's just, we have to take care of that.
Nei, de er for små, disse trampolinene. Vi kunne jo lage noen litt større.
Vi skal ha en setting i spillet som heter Beginner Mode, og der blir trampoline litt videre.
Ok.
Er det først ute?
Ja.
Nei! Carl.
And Carl has really mastered the art of keeping his spin. So part of the idea here is that if you jump on someone, and consecutive jumps will give you more and more spin, which makes you hit harder and harder. But you will lose the spin unless you time a up press as you hit the trampoline.
Okay, yes.
So if you fail that, then you lose your momentum. And it's very small strategies to get an upper hand on your opponent. But if you're just watching this and it looks like complete chaos, you might not catch any of that. But there's a lot of strategy going on right now. You can see Tanya there again, constantly keeping a spin whenever she hits someone. Really good at dodging the hammer whenever Frida gets one.
Tanya flyr.
It'd be really interesting to see what happens when this game launches, if people will be able to catch the nuances to it, because, you know, we've been playing this at the office for so long that a ton of this is second nature to us, but it's often difficult to point out the small intricacies of what high-level play is in this game.
Aha!
Frida, too powerful.
Ja,
Du har 4 liv igjen.
Simon, vil du hjelpe å...
Yes.
Ja.
Hvis vi da, det var en til som ville spille her, så da kan jeg...
Ja.
Yes.
Okay, they're changing out players again. This is going to be a second volunteer from Save the Children, so...
Ja, for vi jobber jo på en måte for Redd Barna I dag.
So it will be me, Carl, Habiba, and I forget his name, I'm very sorry.
Mye med barn og prøve å finne
So the two volunteers from Save the Children.
som litt sånn lav terskel, og dette faller jo rett inn under.
Ja, men...
Jeg har hørt at dere nevnte at dette var veldig lett for folk også å forstå, ikke sant?
Ja. Så når vi får det ut, så gi oss en lyd, så donerer vi spill gjerne.
So this is a small thing, but they were mentioning how part of their work in the field is trying to give activities for kids and sort of getting past that language barrier. And ironically, that's something that this game is very good at. Whenever we showcase it around, it's the easiest game in the world to showcase because we don't have to explain anything. And I think I'm going to be saying that in like 2 seconds here.
Vi har noen aktiviteter med barn som gaming-aktiviteter på...
Vi har vist det I...
Nestes design også, for der også var det ofte lite tekst. Og det var liksom sånn, du kunne spille et japansk spill som ikke var oversatt, hvis du bare lærer deg det liksom.
Ja, det akkurat det. Så det jo noe som vi virkelig har, altså, som vi ikke var klar over I starten, men også noe som vi kommer til å prøve å forklare folk så godt som mulig, at det veldig tilgjengelig.
Jeg litt sånn forkjemper for spill. Jeg mener at spill universelt for alle. Når man har sånn spill som dette, så det har liksom ikke noe å si hvor du da. Og hvem du og du kan liksom...
Tror du man ikke litt nærmere...
Kan være med uansett.
Den var litt helt oppi der.
Helt I ansiktet?
Der.
Fixing the mic.
Det skal jeg få til fremover.
Så da har jeg et forslag. Vi skal vise dere et nytt versus-brett.
Okay, this one I'm actually kind of excited for because we've only shown this in private and on schools. Because sometimes we have like demonstrations for classes. This is a brand new versus stage, and it's a repurposing of one of the scrolling stages that we have for the adventure mode. It turns out that one of the mechanics that we added works really well for doing versus, and this is something that we do for virtually everything. Whenever we make a new adventure mode stage, we try to take elements of that and make it into versus. So the more we add to the adventure mode, the more the versus stage gets built up. So by the end of it, you're going to have a lot of stages to battle on.
All exclusive.
Disse to er de eneste som kan spille Vikings og Trampolines akkurat.
So the basic premise here is that depending on where you land on the left or the right trampoline, you move the log. And it is possible to mess people up where you move the log so that they fall in. It's tricky to do, it's not easy, but we found that in high-level play, if you really know what you're doing and you plan ahead, you can really mess some people up if you plan. And there's also, if you strategize where you split them up too much, now you have a problem if the item spawns on the other side. So, some small things.
Er det fullstendig dominasjon av Tanja nå?
Nei! Jeg går til andre siden, du var alt flink.
Oh yeah, that's a thing I should mention. I'm playing for Habiba right now, so I'm sort of...
Han spurte om det mulig å liksom gjøre
I'm representing.
3D. Finnes det en måte å gjøre det på? Som kan funke?
Altså, det to forskjellige måter da.
One of the questions we're getting from the audience is, could you make this game in 3D? And I think the short answer that we gave is that that's not what the goal of the game is, and it would turn into something very different. Also, part of the idea is that we're supposed to be making this into a good example of how far you can push pixel art as a medium. And it would be a little bit backwards if we were just like, well, let's just skip all of that and turn it into 3D models instead. Kind of goes against the entire idea.
Ja, det var jo også det at da vi begynte med Hellboy, så var det jo fremme pixelart som en kunststil. Og da var det, ok, nå har vi gjort Hellboy, hvor mye lenger kan vi gå? Så det var liksom målet med det her da, så selv om vi ikke kunne gjort det i 3D, vi kunne gjort det i illustrert grafikk.
Yeah, I'm just repeating that whole thing, but the short of it is that we did that with Owlboy. The intent was to push pixel art further, and now we're doing it again with Vikings.
Ja,
At least,
du må avenge meg
in quotation.
og Redd Barna, fordi når vi taper, så taper barn, og derfor så må du nå vinne for barna.
Oh yeah, now I'm being goaded into, if I'm playing as Habiba, who works for Save the Children, so if I don't win, then I'm losing the children. So lots of pressure at that point.
Og selvfølgelig også Bjørn David, som Frida.
Men da tenker jeg vi kjører Simon-regler. Den som klarer å slå Simon nå, den får seg en plushie.
Nei, nå må ikke du jinxe det.
Oh yeah, and then Joe makes it worse by saying that, okay, also everyone needs to beat Simon, because if you do, then you get a plushie. So a lot of pressure right now. This is a level that a lot of people have seen already. This is the roller coaster level. We've been showcasing this for a good while, but it is one of my favorites. I'm very happy with the transition that we managed to do, where you can be both above ground and in the underground.
Yes.
It was tough getting that transition to not mess players up, but so far we've managed to do it in a very kind way, I'd say.
Jo, det faktisk pixelart, det bare veldig høy oppløsning.
Ja, altså det begge deler. Karakterene i pixel art, og det håndtegnede bakgrunner. Så, og det var vi like overrasket over som andre.
Yeah, didn't lose.
Men alle spritene, alle...
Save the children. The question currently that they're talking about is someone was asking or not convinced that the graphics in Savant Descent remix were pixel art, and the co-host here is staunchly telling them that it is pixel art, and we're telling them that it's both. The backgrounds are illustrated, and the sprite work is complete pixel art. So it is a hybrid, and we did that on purpose because, well, considering that it was a game originally made in 5 weeks, it was not realistic to make all that much stuff with just pixel art, but really went above and beyond with the sprite work itself to make that stick out.
Fiendene og bossene, de er pixel art.
Yep.
Yes.
Så delvis korrekt.
Ja.
Vindmølle?
Yes. Jeg tenker at dere tar... Nå har vi vel bare noen minutter igjen.
This
så
is
vi
also a
kjører
classic
vindmølle
stage.
nå,
Most
og
people have
så
seen
tar
this
vi
one.
en
This is the windmill
fotballkamp.
stage.
Det kan vi gjøre.
And one thing I can point out here
Det er fotballkamper i det spillet her da.
Jeg
is
må bare skyte inn at vi har nådd 398 000 kroner, så vi er så nære under 2
oh, they're
000
about to
kroner
hit
nå. Og det er også
400,000
nå
kroner,
veldig
which is
jevnt
really good.
mellom Sverige og Danmark. Sverige leder fortsatt med 50 kroner.
One thing I want to point out here, which I'm really happy that we managed to solve this design issue. So the windmill is very straightforward. The way that it works is that you just have a trampoline on each side and then it goes in a circle. The problem is, if it's just stuck to the end of the trampoline, then there's no room up here for you to jump. You just basically get stuck up here and you can't really see what's going on. However, if we stick it too close, then you have no movement. There's no way that you can move around. The way that we solved it, in a really strange way, is that we put the trampolines on chains. So you'll see when it moves around, they're on the bottom. When they're coming down, you see they move down like that. And then we're at the top, they move inward. So you have more space when they're further up, and they're further down when they're further down. So it's something that nobody will ever notice, but we felt kind of brilliant when we thought of that.
Yes.
Tingen er, mange har nevnt at det er veldig lik Rayman Legends. Jeg har aldri spilt det.
Nei.
Jeg har aldri sett det før, så det er helt tilfeldig at det blir lik.
So what he just said there, because we are going to be playing the football mode after this, and a lot of people have pointed out, him included, that it looks a lot like something from a game called Rayman Legends. And we've heard this a lot from this mode. The weird thing is, and I point this out here, we have never played that game, and every time people bring it up, we're like, what the hell is this? We've never seen it before. So it's a bit of a weird one. Like, really funny that we came up with the exact same thing, and it's something that we have no relation to whatsoever. But turns out that people really like that minigame, so great. If they like that, then they'll like this.
Men Rayman Legends har jo også en veldig god 4-player-modus, sant? Så...
Avoid. Hva er best av pikk og hammer?
Hammeren, den er veldig god. For da vinner du alle dueller automatisk.
Ja, ok. Til og med hvis de andre er svær?
Nei.
Ok.
So it's me versus Carl here.
Men øks mot svær. Da
The final duel.
har du upper hand.
Okay.
Det er insta-kill, det.
Yes.
Så
hvis du ser en øks nå...
What happened there, because we're talking about how the different items work. And I just picked up balloon mode. Now the thing about balloon mode is there's one counter to it. If you touch someone in balloon mode, you instantly die. But if you throw an axe, which auto-targets to the closest opponent, it will pop the person that is in balloon mode, which is an insta-kill. Joe just reveals that. I'll jump back. Just as I pick up balloon mode, you can see me doing it on the left side right now. And then he immediately tells Carl, like, hey, you can insta-kill him if you pick up this thing. He just instantly goes for the jugular, comes in, and just decides to kill me outright, and I just notice. And dodge it the last second.
Nå er det en øks på siden. Øksen blir brukt
I'm being
med en gang
sabotaged,
til,
I swear.
Alle items blir brukt instantly, så...
Nå har jeg hammer, forresten.
This is another thing that we haven't optimized yet. I had to tell Carl that I was carrying a hammer, and the problem is that you can see we haven't attached the hammer to the hand yet. We still need to change the item so that it's obvious that you're holding the hammer item, because some people have noticed that they can't tell when you're holding that. So that'll be one of the things that will be changing in the next couple of updates.
All right, ett liv igjen.
Kom igjen, Carl, you can do it.
You gotta do it.
Tar 4 liv.
Danmark har tatt ledelsen, og vi er rett og slett 600 kroner unna å være på 400 000, så kom igjen!
Spennende.
OK.
Habib represent.
Da tror jeg vi endrer reglene litt, grann,
Yes.
fordi vi spiller da en runde med fotball.
Ja.
Den som er på lag med meg, hvis dere klarer å slå oss to, så
Sleng meg i veggen og kall meg Benny, vi har nådd 400 000!
400,000 kroner. So I think by the end of this segment, they managed to hit 500,000 kroner, which is pretty freaking good. For reference, oh, how much is that? 500,000 kroner. Well, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Den som trekker oss over, det er rett og slett Bjarne Betjent, som har gitt 500 kroner. Tusen takk, Bjarne Betjent.
Jeg er så glad for at Bjarne Betjent bruker pensjonspengene sine på Redd Barna. Han har holdt på hele natt også.
Det er godt å se at Sesam Stasjon gir litt inntekt, som igjen går til Redd Barna.
Tusen takk, Bjarne Betjent.
Bjarne Betjent.
Tusen takk.
I just want to comment on this because it's such a weird thing that nobody else will get. So the guy that just donated to this is called Bjarne Betjent. And this is I'm assuming this is just a joke account name. However, Bjarne is a Muppet from something called Sesame Station. We didn't have Sesame Street here. We had our own version called Sesame Station, which is like Sesame Street, but it takes place at a train station. And Bjarne Betjent is the guy that hands out. He's like the ticket master, I think, at the office, not the guy that checks it on the train itself. So it's really weird that like the one that pushed the donation thing past the current goal is a Norwegian Muppet. Moving on.
Og alle andre som er gitt.
Og alle
Ikke
andre.
minst alle andre som har gitt.
Spesielt alle andre også.
OK, er vi klar?
Yes.
Nå vet jeg hva lagene blir. Så da er det
So the rules now, because we're moving towards the ending segment of all of this, it's 2-on-2 in football, and I've stipulated the rules that if they're able to beat me and whoever's on my team, then they win. I think it was a plushie or something like that. So it's me playing as Habiba and Tanya against Carl and Frida. So we need to score on the right side, and they need to score on the left side.
Det er meg og Tanja, da.
Ja.
And the way that this works, tearing. The way that this whole thing works is, remember what I said about the spin jump. When you jump on someone else, you will gradually increase your spin, and the more you spin, the harder you hit. When you hit the ball regularly, you'll just kind of nudge it. But if you have a partial or a full spin, then you'll kick the ball really hard. So the entire goal here is that you want to build up spin and give a really good kick to the ball to get it into the goal. However, there are two things. First, on one hand, you have infinite deaths here. If you die, you respawn on the opposite side of the ball. So it might actually be an advantage to throw yourself off of the stage so that you can spawn on the other side to defend the goal. Second, if you do a full spin and launch the ball, if you're in the way of the ball, then you immediately launch it back with the same speed. So if someone goes in for a full spin shot and you're already seeing that it's going to be moving in that direction, getting yourself in the way can create a chain reaction where all of a sudden they've scored an own goal. So pay attention to how people play here, because there's a lot of small strategies that people start picking up in order to defend and get the ball to the right side of the goal. So we're about to score now. And Frida unfortunately scored an own goal.
Ja, jeg tenkte ikke på den ballen i det hele tatt. Oi.
There Carl shot the ball into me, which launched in the other direction.
Så det faktum at han der borte nå betyr at dere ikke avslutter.
Så, men nå ser jeg at
We got 2 own goals on that one, unfortunately.
Blir det self-goal?
Blir det self-goal?
Ja.
For jeg gjorde det akkurat, og det ble... Jo, det ble det. Nå ser jeg det.
And I'm actively trying to keep the ball high up so that they can't do a spin on it.
Oi, 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 oi!
Å, kom igjen!
Carl got a good shot.
Nei.
Sorry.
Unfortunately, Frida hit it on the wrong side. Tanya's building up speed.
Ja, riktig. Ja.
Ikke sant.
Nei. Vekk herfra.
Kom igjen da.
And there I blocked the ball by standing in the way right as he completed his spin.
Nei. Nei, få den vekk derfra.
Oi!
Nei, nei.
Tanya almost scoring an own goal there.
Å, kom igjen da. Kom igjen.
Nei.
Nei. Nei.
Å ja.
Tanya, unfortunately hitting it on the wrong side. Carl is in the perfect position.
En til, utlign.
Du er Frida? Ja?
We got one.
Ja, vi er
Ikke den
Frida.
veien, jeg skal ikke den veien.
So he managed to get an opening there where we shot it through, but there was no one to reflect it back.
Frida, kom an! Nei.
Åh, det er så rart å se mitt eget navn. Jeg er så forvirret.
Grats.
Men se,
Men du-
Habiba har vunnet.
Vil dere
som
prøve
vil
en
si-
runde til?
Da,
Ja.
nå gjør vi det sånn at
Okay, so we won.
Nå har vi vel bare et par minutter igjen. Jeg tror at Simon skal backe ut nå.
Yes.
Og så den som vinner den neste fotballkampen, får plush igjen.
Oi.
Men da får dere krangle. Dere kommer jo på lag. Så den som vinner, får krangle litt mellom seg sjøl.
Kanskje jeg skal
Men skal vi ta
være
alle mot
Habiba.
alle?
Det
Er
er
det-
jo...
Okay, so Habiba gets to be Habiba finally. So we're backing now completely, and now it's only the people from Level Up that are playing against each other. So someone is going to win something, and the team that wins this round gets the plushie, no matter what.
Jeg kan være med.
Oss 4, da.
Oss 4?
Ok.
Ok.
Hvis du, Habiba, trykker på høyre nå. Yes.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, same teams. It's Habiba and Tanya, and it's Carl and, well, I guess he's Frida now. Welcome, new Frida.
Ok. Da er jeg på lag med Frida. Og det er du som er Frida?
Blir det en gullåpning? Ah.
Det går bra. Vi klarer
Carl has
dette.
already figured out that if you do the
Vi
spin
hopper opp på hverandre.
at a good angle, you can get it through, so he's really pushing
Folk
right now.
ikke treffer ballen på vei rundt ballen. Oi.
Så hvis dere treffer ballen når dere er i et spinn, så skyter dere den hardere.
Yes.
Ja, riktig. Ok.
Hvordan spinner vi? Det er
Frida needs to not hit the ball right now, or else that'll be a problem for them.
opp på ballen eller spinne.
Yes.
Nei.
Du ser at karakteren begynner å spinne bitte litt når du hopper. Og så
Habiba
til slutt
managed to
går du inn i
abuse the
en sånn
bounce there to
negativ
get it through, and Carl accidentally hit it on the wrong side, causing a goal.
Nå fortjener jeg ikke noe flush.
Nei,
Å, det går!
den går over.
Oi, den gikk over.
Almost on goal. Own goal! Oh no! It's been a few weeks now, so I forget exactly how this goes.
Kom igjen.
Okay, so both Habiba and Tanya knocked themselves out to respawn on the right side. Oh, that was a good reflect, actually.
Nei.
Tanya really got that one.
Oi, hvor er det jeg skal? Der skal jeg.
30
So if
sekunder.
they're able to respawn, they can block that. It has a... Yep, they did a reflect, so that worked out great.
Nå føler jeg at jeg er trampolina.
10 sekunder.
Oi,
You got 10 seconds left.
Oi. Går det? Å,
2-2, so if this continues, they go into sudden death.
Sudden death.
Da blir det
Nå blir
sudden
det
death.
sudden death.
Yeah, first goal wins the whole thing.
Og nå må jeg ta den.
Tanya rightly respawning to try to block the ball. Carl doing the same thing.
Nei, ikke selvmål nå. This is when it
If he
counts.
reflects that, then it'll go into their goal.
Selvmål. Nei. Please.
Managed to avoid that.
Jeg beklager, Tanja. Jeg
Oi,
virkelig...
oi, oi.
Nei.
Nå går det.
A lot of strategies going on right now. Ah!
Beklager.
Yeah, that's right. They won. I completely forgot.
Den skal vi ha sammen. Vi kan ha delt foreldrerett. Vi sender den til hverandre hver uke.
Jeg kan komme og besøke deg neste år på neste gaming-aksjon.
So yeah, they won a Otis plushie.
Gratulerer.
Tusen takk.
Ja, virkelig.
Veldig bra.
In packaging, might I add.
Ja, det spillet her er kjempe.
Da kommer dere til VM.
Jeg må bare spørre, kanskje Rune spurte allerede, er det noe release dato?
Vi sier det som vi sier hver gang. Neste år.
Det blir det.
So of course we get the question right at the end because the first one was asked by Rune, and now Carl wants to know when's the game coming out, and we have to do the unfortunate thing where we say that it's coming out next year, fingers crossed, because that's what we're hoping for, but you never know.
Vi skal,
2026, det er året.
yes, vi skal begynne å reise litt, promotere litt. Få folk til å spille spillet, så håper vi det blir bra.
So this is an important thing that Joe just mentioned, and this is the fact that next year, regardless of what happens, because part of what's been happening recently is that we've been so focused on development on a lot of different things. Like, we haven't just been working on Vikings. It has been a lot of things that's happening this year, and we've had to say no to a lot of appearances. But next year, we are going to try to travel to as many places as we can anyway. Like, we're going to be touring. That's going to be very hard, if I'm being perfectly honest, because doing travel, on one hand, it's expensive, but it's also very difficult to do to get back into work, finish stuff, and then jump back on a plane and do more touring, because it takes a lot of planning. But we're going to try and do that anyway next year, and hopefully that'll work out, because, you know, you kind of need to build up attention around the game again, and then sort of prep it for release, regardless of what happens.
Og så husk at hvis dere har lyst til å være med i trekningen av disse flotte Alboy-tingene, gå på splace.no/ga og registrer dere der, så trekker vi litt underveis utover i kveld.
Promo!
Det var bare det jeg ville si.
Ok. Ja, men det var den delen av programmet. Da blir det en liten riggepause, og så er vi tilbake med neste post om noen få strakser.
And that's it. That is the entire thing. After that, they move on to their next post. I think at this point in their live stream, they had been going for 27 hours. And their whole thing was 32 hours total. So our segment was just a microscopic little part of it. But I will say, I was really happy that we had the opportunity to join this thing and show off some new stuff. Of course, good cause as well, which is really important. But I don't know. It's a very different thing, the fact that we had the chance to show off something new from Vikings and not just, you know, the same thing most people have seen over and over again. And of course, we're very familiar with it. We've been playing this game to death for years now. But it's something else to see other people experiencing it for themselves and seeing how they react. So that was pretty good. I suppose that is the main part of my segment today. My whole thing here is just a ton of people watched this stream. I would actually say that it did very well for a Norwegian, or at the very least Scandinavian live stream. But the people that we sent over to watch it, I can definitely understand how the language barrier might cause some issues. At the very least, if you wanted some commentary on how the game functions, what we put in there, and why we were doing the things that we were doing. So I'm happy to, at the very least, provide some commentary on that. If anyone has any questions, I can answer those for a little bit. Then I guess we can try to move on from there. For now, though, there we go. That's a little better. While I sit here for a minute, I'm just going to move some of these screens back, because it's not the first time that I do one of these live streams and then as I wrap up something goes haywire. Let's see. Yep, that's everything in the right place. Okay, so that was it. Again, really happy that we had the chance to join this. And, you know, this stream happens once a year, roughly around the same time. So I mean, I can't guarantee that we will join it every year because, you know, they invite whoever fits their program. So I'm not going to say, hey, we'll be there next year too. But at the very least, if you're in the Scandinavian region and you want to partake in the either the live stream or donating to a good cause, that's one way to do it around this time of year. How about a hot potato mode but with surströmming stank on the player? What? Yeah, I guess that'll be Scandinavian. Isn't that kind of like? Wait, what would be what would be the effect of that? Would it just be like you carry the plague with you, and then if you keep it for too long, you just die? I suppose that could work. So as far, yeah, don't be stinky, but a timer. Let me reread that. My brain just short-circuited from all those words. Don't keep it until the timer runs out. Yeah, that makes sense. So as far as Vikings goes, and what our focus is going to be moving forward, the plan right now is we have a couple of things that we need to polish up. The first thing being the menus that you saw in the beta version that we showed off. Not exactly particularly decorated, but we want to have it at least nice and polished early on so that we can playtest it, see if it reads well, and then we can sort of submit that as its final version. A lot of this is going to be taken care of very early on at the start of the year. So all of that is within plan. Next, after that, there are some things on the start at the end of the game that we need to address, which will probably take a good bit of time, but I am trying to stay optimistic that all of this will be at least relatively easy to take care of. And then once all of that's done, it's really just adding as many levels as we humanly can. But that'll be an interesting challenge. Sort of like what I mentioned earlier, is that it will be difficult to promote the game and work on it at the same time. Traditionally, that has not really worked out all that well in the past. And it's not for lack of trying, it's really just the jet lag really gets to you, and it's difficult to sit down and make design decisions when you're like, okay, you got to make a whole level, and also, by the way, buy some plane tickets because we're going to be standing around promoting something for 5 days straight in maybe a week or so, and then do it again the week after. Like, it's a lot of work, especially considering how small our team is. So we'll just see how it works out. But I am cautiously optimistic right now, and I am pretty convinced that whoever gets the chance to play this game will at least enjoy it. It's more so getting the news out to whoever is able to see it. Okay, I think that will be the stream. There is a chance that I will do something like a painting stream or something during Romjul. I have no idea what that is in English, but it's the period between Christmas Eve and New Year's, because I have some days off there, and I think eventually I'll start getting stir crazy and start doing some stuff. So maybe I'll do something in between then, but right now I thought it was very important to get this out of the way before potentially the VOD backup went away, and I didn't have the chance to sort of showcase everything that we showed off at this for our English-speaking audience. So glad we had the opportunity to do that. All right, I think that's it. Appreciate everyone stopping by. If you have any more questions, you can always ask them at the D-Pad Discord. There's a link to that in the channel description if you're interested. Also, if you are curious about what's going to be happening in the future with Vikings and Trampolines and our other projects that we haven't announced, we do have a newsletter, which is also linked in the channel description, so you can check that out as well. Don't worry, we're not going to spam you on that. It's just like 4 updates a year. Next one will be in, I think I said it the wrong time last time, but I think it will be in February. So if you're interested in that, you can find a link to that as well. For now, appreciate you all for being here. Yeah, this was good. I'll see you guys around. Bye.